Thank you for joining us on this beautiful spring evening for the Women in Philanthropy's quarterly meeting and reception. For good reason, because we hear about the critical programs tonight from so many organizations that are going to be supported by the work that we do together. And so this event also highlights the agency of each individual Women in Philanthropy supporter, because much of this evening will be focused on a $30,000 grant distribution that will be directed by you, our generous Women in Philanthropy supporters, to this important work that we're going to hear about this evening. Women in Philanthropy is 120 members strong. It's the largest that Women in Philanthropy has been in our nearly 10-year history. And it's surprising to even say that Women in Philanthropy has been affecting change, transformative change in the lives of women, girls, and their families for nearly 10 years. And the accomplishments that we all have made happen and seen together are significant. And I don't have time in my 5 minutes to go through them all tonight, but I'll make sure to hit on a couple highlights. Women in Philanthropy started, again, nearly 10 years ago with a visionary group of 12 women coming to the table and saying, there's a lot in our region that needs to happen to advance the economic and otherwise health and well-being of women, girls, and their families in northeastern Pennsylvania. And we think we have charitable support among women leaders in our communities to make this effective change. And I think we've seen the fruition of that dream come to the fact that just in the past 15 months alone, we've had 25 new women join Women in Philanthropy. So it's very much moving forward in a positive way. And the generosity of time, talent, and treasure is astounding. Throughout history, Women in Philanthropy has provided funding to organizations that have given meaningful, and as I said, often transformational, which is a core value of Women in Philanthropy, support to women and girls in the region in the areas of STEAM education, support for entrepreneurship, financial confidence, restorative dental care, and equitable transportation. And we're making great strides in the areas of civic engagement and advocacy, affordable, quality childcare, and attainable housing. These are all priority areas selected and supported by Women in Philanthropy members. And so very, very briefly, some of the most current, most timely aspects and highlights of our work together include: within civic engagement and advocacy, Women in Philanthropy will be moving forward this fall with a pilot for the National Constitution Center's curriculum at Old Forge, Riverside, and Scranton High Schools with support from the superintendents. And additionally, in March, the National Constitution Center presented to the Northeastern Intermediate Union monthly school leadership meeting, gauging interest and garnering support for the other 17 school districts. So very much moving forward on that goal for civic engagement and advocacy. And additionally, Women in Philanthropy has provided grant funding to support the University of Scranton's CEEPS projects to assess civic education quality in local high schools. And they're going to be using leading practices in evaluating how the local high schools compare to effective evidence-based strategies. So some really positive things happening in the civic engagement and advocacy sphere. Within the area of attainable housing, definitely a priority area in terms of making sure women and their families have access to the ability to have a safe, stable place for their families. Women in Philanthropy just hosted a housing lab last week with the City of Scranton and the Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia, and 40 key community leaders, regional leaders were in attendance, looking at leading practices and also taking us through kind of an action lab strategy to determine actionable steps in the near future. And with that, we'll go back to our Women in Philanthropy supporters, particularly in this advisory circle area, to look at ways that we can invest further in that area in tangible strategies that matter. Within STEM, we're still in conversations moving forward with Lackawanna College to select our new group of STEAM Scholars recipients who will begin in the summer of 2023. Entrepreneurship, still moving forward in terms of microloans. Just this past year, 2 of our microloan recipients have completely paid off their loans in full, have established successful businesses, big accomplishment. And the Women in Philanthropy Entrepreneurship Advisory Circle is going to be looking at another new business plan that is in the process for a new microloan. So that's still moving forward as well. Within the match savings financial confidence area, just within the past 15 months alone, 43 women have had $110,000 matched dollar for dollar to purchase a home, to make advancements on a home, to purchase transportation, to advance their education, et cetera, et cetera. So again, money going right into the hands of women and their families to make tangible investments in their future through match savings. So a lot that I can't fit into the time allowed, because I was teasing some of our team. I think 4 people told me today, you have 5 minutes. And I'm like, yeah, I get it, I know. There's just so much to talk about, and none of it can be done without the generosity of all of you. We're so grateful that everyone, bought into the vision and saw the fruits of our work together. But I think tonight is about the organizations and the impact that all of our nonprofit partners are doing for women, girls, and their families. And there are 8 incredible organizations with 8 incredible projects that we look forward to hearing more about. And with that, I'm going to pass it on to Maggie Martinelli to give us next steps in moving forward on this process. Thank you so much, Laura.
Laura's a lot better at multitasking. I have to put that back on the stand. Can't trust myself. So first up tonight is going to be Catherine McCauley Center. So if they want to make their way over to the stage over here. And right after that, we're going to be hearing from the Center for the Living Cities. So Maria and I think Jody, if you want to just kind of get in the wings and ready to come up right after, and so on and so forth. The order is on here. We're being joined tonight by Krista Murray, who's the Executive Director of Catherine McCauley Center, along with Amy Fiduciak, who is the member of the Board of Directors for Catherine McCauley Center, and they're going to be presenting tonight about their program, which is family support for the prevention of homelessness. Krista and Amy, just so you know, Bella, if you want to raise your hand, Bella, she's going to be holding up a time card to kind of help us keep track. So welcome to the stage.
Thank you, Maggie, and thank you to everyone for having us here to present tonight. As Maggie said, my name is Krista, and I have the honor of serving as the Executive Director of the Catherine McCauley Center. I'm joined by Amy, who is one of our board members. If you don't know, we're a nonprofit who serves those experiencing homelessness in... Ooh, sorry, is that better?
Yeah.
Okay.
The mini mic is picking up on the recording.
Gotcha. Okay. We serve those experiencing homelessness in Lackawanna and Luzerne counties through a variety of different programs. We're here tonight to talk about our family support program, which is basically us answering the phone and answering the door and saying, how can we help you? What can we do? How can we get you to where you need to be, and what role can we play in that? And Amy has a lot more interesting things to say than I do, so I'm going to let her tell you a little bit more.
Hi, my name is Amy Fiduciak, and before I say anything, I just want to say I'm very honored to be here with all of these incredible women. So amazing, and I'm very grateful. The Catherine McCauley Center provides a sense of community. It's not just help with rent, it's love, communication, respect that comes along with the services the center provides that really helps families. My story started in March of 2018. I was renting a 2-bedroom apartment, 2nd floor, and I am a single mom of 3 amazing, beautiful boys. All of a sudden, the landlord decided he didn't want to rent to someone with children on 2nd floor and evicted me. So I took the chance. I did not know much about the Catherine McCauley Center, but I did call, and I explained my situation, and I said, I was scared if I don't have the funds, I don't have family or friends, and I thought that they would refer me out, but they wound up, changing my entire life. There was an opening in the shelter, and they said, I actually spoke to the caseworker, Tara Joyce. She said, you can come down tomorrow. So my boys and I went into the shelter. We were there for a few weeks, and during that few weeks, it wound up being 2 of my boys' birthdays. And again, my funds, were depleted, and it may be something very small, but the Catherine McCulley Center provides little birthday packages to women in the shelter or in the programs. They provide a cake, maybe balloons, some decorations, and I'm going to cry. It meant everything to me and my children, and I was able in the shelter to make my son's favorite meal, shake and bake chicken, and we ate with 2 other families, and even though we were in a shelter, it was an amazing time, and it was something I'll never forget. Let's see here. So I was in the shelter for a few weeks, wound up getting into an apartment with the Catherine McCulley Center. I wound up, after graduating from the housing program, I was talking to the caseworker, and I was able to receive funding through the transportation fund. I did not have a vehicle. I did not have a license for about 4 years. I wound up using the money I did have, to pay fines or whatever, not to get my license back. And then I was left with no money for a car. They wound up helping me through their transportation fund to get a vehicle. Before we got the vehicle, just something that we would do, my son plays for the Junior Invaders in West Scranton football. We had lived in South Scranton, and to get my baby to football, we would take the bus there every single day, Monday through Friday for practice. By the time practice was over, there was no buses. So we would walk all the way from West Scranton to South Scranton, Monday through Friday, just because my son wanted to play football. So this, the transportation fund, changed our lives with a vehicle. I also have a son that's very disabled, and we go down to Danville a lot for appointments. So the car, that was just something else that the Catherine McCulley Center changed for us in a very good way. But let's see here. I'm so sorry. What I would really just want to say is I can't stress this enough. It takes a village to raise a child. And they still will forever be my village. And if I could just tell my story, and another woman, if just one other woman reads it and knows, you can be at your darkest moments and you can't give up. And things will get better. You just have to have hope, and you just can never give up hope. Thank you.
I want to mention too, Amy is an extension of our family support program. She serves on our board of directors. She's one of our most loyal and generous volunteers too in those when people, hey, what can you do? How do you need help? Amy's there to help us carry that out as well. So thanks, Amy.
No, we'll after. Yep. Thank you so much, Krista, and to Amy as well. Amy, thank you for your vulnerability and sharing with us. Next up is Maria McDonald from the Center for the Living City. Maria will be talking about today her STEAM education program for teenage girls. Yep, I'm just going to leave it there.
Hi everyone, I as well am so grateful to be here tonight, and I am going to join and become a new member of the Women in Philanthropy as soon as this is over. And tell all of my friends about this as well. This is just such an honor to be here. My name is Maria McDonald. I am the one of the founding faculty members of Marywood University's School of Architecture, women-founded and women-led university. I also have the honor to be the executive director of the Center for the Living City, which is a global urbanist organization that was founded by Jane Jacobs. So I have a handout on the tables for you all to take a peek. I have so much to say and only 5 minutes to say it in, but I put a little page in there that talks about who Jane Jacobs was, how important she was to cities and to communities, and she's one of our very own Scrantonians. And I talk a little bit about Marywood University School of Architecture. We are 400 students strong, half of them women and girls, and actually most of our faculty are women, which we're really proud of. And today I'm talking about our initiative in STEAM programming for young girls. What we are working on currently in our Living City Laboratory at Marywood is we are building floating houseboats that are completely sustainable for the Girl Scouts. And this whole thing kind of came around full circle when we visited Camp Archibald, which is a Girl Scout camp in Kingston, Pennsylvania, on a glacier lake, Lake Ely. That was also the Girl Scout camp of Jane Jacobs. And we went up to do some tents up day and to visit. And at that time, we realized that we wanted to participate in the United States Department of Energy Solar Decathlon build, meaning you could build a small house that is completely sustainable and you compete with the United States Department of Energy. And we were finally ready as a School of Architecture that we were big enough to do that. So we're up at the camp, and someone said, wouldn't it be amazing if we could build a small house, for our floating houseboats, and it has to fit on the back of a trailer, and everything just sort of clicked together, and here we are now. As I'm talking to you, we have a group of students out in Boulder, Colorado, like right now, presenting to the United States Department of Energy to compete to win. We are already shortlisted. There's 5 left, and we're competing against universities across the globe. So we're going up against the UK and France and Germany and MIT and a whole bunch of schools. So we're wishing them lots of luck right now because they're presenting. And if they win, we get funding to build the houseboats. So we are going to build these houseboats in Mary Woods, in Sulaco Center, and then we're taking them out onto the field. We're seeking funding, though, to engage with area girls. We wanted to bring the Girl Scouts themselves onto our campus to work to learn about how to build these houseboats and to learn about the sustainable technologies, and ask all area girls to come in and do programmings over the summer. This will take 2 more years to build, so they won't be done until 2015. So any of the funding that we have, we're a very, very small nonprofit, any of the funding that we have could go towards programming for girls to come in and help learn how to hydroponic gardening, solar technology, geothermal energy, composting latrines. Jane Jacobs was planting gardens on her roof 100 years ago. So it's all kind of coming full circle. And there's so much to say in a short amount of time. I just wanted to say thank you for the opportunities, and the funding will go a long way to help a lot of girls on our campus and around northeastern Pennsylvania. So just, if you think of Marywood University and the Center for the Living City, you have any opportunities just to get to know all of you and anyone. I met with someone just briefly who's also doing some STEAM programming. We can still connect and we can still work together regardless, however this goes down. I just wanted to say thank you for the opportunity to be here.
Thank you so much, Maria. Appreciate you being here today. Next up, we have Susan Magnotta, who is the president of Junior Achievement of Northeastern Pennsylvania, and she is going to be talking about their program, Her Economic Success.
Get closer here. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very honored to be here amongst so many other wonderful nonprofits and with such a wonderful organization as the Scranton Area Foundation. So I'm going to explain Junior Achievement a little bit. Are you guys familiar with it? Anybody? A little bit? Okay. So Junior Achievement is an organization that we want these kids to give these kids a vision for their future and a pathway to get there. We work really hard to help young people discover what's possible for their lives. We want them to connect what they're learning in school and what's in the classroom with what's outside the classroom so that they study and so that they behave in school. And we all know we just went through a pandemic. These kids are way behind, especially in the larger public schools. And the Department of Education says that in 4th grade, the 4th grade students are 2 years behind in reading and math. And when I say that to a teacher, they raise 3 fingers. What happened? And a teacher explained this to me this morning. They have not exposed these kids to careers. They have not exposed them to a future because for 2 years, everybody was in shutdown mode. They were in survival mode. And so we just had an event that I'm going to talk about briefly. And I'm the new president of Junior Achievement. I'm there the longest. I've been there since August. We decided to do this program called Inspire. And we had 2,000 students at Mohegan Sun Casino and Convention Center on Tuesday. And it was a career exploration event. All these companies showed up big time. They brought in all these hands-on interactive stuff. There were 9 different career clusters. I was expecting disaster because we had 16 different public districts. What could go wrong with 2,000 students from 16 different districts in one space? And they were amazing. I have renewed hope in the future of Northeastern Pennsylvania. They were so well behaved. They have not had this these like interactive programs on entrepreneurship, financial literacy, a career, like exposure to careers for years at this point. They were engaged. They were talking to the vendors. It was absolutely amazing, and everybody was blown out of the water, completely blown out of the water. And what we're proposing to do is to do a pilot program. That's everything for junior achievement is a pilot program right now. We're all new, but that was a pilot program. We had 2,000 kids there. We want to do a pilot program with the West Intermediate Scranton School to bring that same programming in a morning with volunteers bringing like from corporations. A lot of banks are interested in doing this into the classroom to teach these girls lessons on financial literacy, career readiness, entrepreneurship. And I can tell you, I was saying this like I knew that it actually worked until Tuesday. I thought it did. I saw this come to life. It is amazing when these kids are exposed to things they never get to see. And I'm going to read you. So we did a little QR code because I used to work at the Institute. I know that data is important. These were kids from the Scranton school districts. I'm going to read you some of their quotes. The question was, what was the best thing about the event? And they said, I learned that I might want to go into the medical field because I can help people that way too. Meeting new people and learning about careers, more about careers that I was interested in before and ones that I didn't even think about. It opened my eyes to many more opportunities that I had. As a Latina, when we are interested in the area of health, they make us believe it is only doctors and nurses. But thanks to this event, I have discovered there are many careers and specialties to work in the areas of health, so they help me understand what I really want for my future. I believe that the best thing I discovered today at this exciting yet interesting event was learning about the different career paths and benefits for their future. I also discovered that I'm actually interested in different careers that can open up more opportunities in my future. And my favorite was the food at the top right corner was amazing. I'll never taste anything better. This was the peak of my senses. So we want to expose these kids at a young age. This was mostly juniors and seniors. There were STEM kids there from Scranton, and like 4 different Lackawanna County school districts. But we know that our goal is to have kids have a vision for their future, a pathway to get there, and have an understanding that they can have a future at this point. And the younger we start, the better. Middle school is a great place to begin, and that because we want to have these kids understand they don't have to grow up in poverty. We can break that cycle. And Junior Achievement seems to be standing in a space where the companies want to get into the schools and teach these programs and be mentors to these kids. So I'm among wonderful nonprofits. I know I'm just happy to have the opportunity to actually stand up here because people thought Junior Achievement went away for a while. So end of time. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you so much, Susan. Appreciate you being here and talking about the wonderful work being done at Junior Achievement. Next up, I would like to introduce Tamara Hall, who is Director of Maternity and Family Services at St. Joseph Center, and she's going to be talking about the Mother-Infant Child Care Assistance Program.
Hello, good evening. Again, my name is Tamara Hall. I work at St. Joe's. St. Joe's has been around since 1888, and it really originated with the maternity department, and not many people know that. It originated with a group of women within Scranton seeing children running the streets without families, without clothes, without food to eat, and they did something about it. 135 years later, we're still here helping families, mothers, babies, and children. That is my job. I oversee 5 programs at St. Joe's. We have 2 adoption programs. We have a baby and children's pantry. We have the mother-infant program, which I'm going to speak about tonight, and the Walsh Mariner program, which is a pregnancy shelter for women who are pregnant and experiencing homelessness. So mother-infant is a transitional living program for mothers who have a baby under the age of 1 and they are homeless. They come to our program experiencing a multitude of different situations which bring them to us. It could be domestic violence. Their parents kick them out of their home, not happy with the pregnancy. Their boyfriend or husband kicked them out of their apartment or home. Their name isn't on the lease, and they're homeless. They could be experiencing substance use issues or legal issues. So we really do help anyone and everyone who has a baby and needs a safe place to live and stay. We were established in 2004, and we've been around 19 years, serving many women and children. We are a big home. It was a convent in Scranton, which was converted to 5 fully furnished apartments. So a mom has her own space and to raise her baby. But we also have a community living space that has a living room, a kitchen, a dining room, a resource room, so women can have meals together. Staff can prepare meals with moms, teaching them cooking skills. So it's really a homey atmosphere. And it's safe. It's staffed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's locked from the outside because, like I said, many women experience domestic violence. And I think one of the best parts of the program is that we have women of all ages, moms, grandmas, all ages, working at mother-infant, so they can give support on many different levels that the mothers need. Sadly and unfortunately, they didn't have a lot of support growing up, so they're raising babies not really knowing how to do that. So we provide life skill programs every week to teach moms how to budget, how to take care of a sick child development stages, how to fill out a job application, resume writing, how to interview for a job, how to dress for an interview, all the soft skills that a woman needs to become an independent, strong mother. And that is what we do. We try to teach them the skills to learn how to be independent, to learn the resources in the area. I'm looking at all these wonderful women in this room, and we network with so many of these agencies that are here tonight and others within the Scranton area. We don't do this alone. We connect with others. If we can't help a woman with something, we will find the right person to do that. So what is one common factor denominator that a lot of our women experience? It is low self-esteem. It is the self-doubt that they have because their partners told them that they're fat, they're ugly, they're uneducated, they're stupid, they don't know how to raise a child. So we work very hard to build them up, to get the self-esteem that they need to go out in the world and learn how to become a successful mom. All right, so what do? We try to help them find a job. Well, okay, so we help them find their jobs, the jobs that may not be the highest paying job that they can attain, but it is a job. So they have a job, they have to get daycare for their babies. The scariest thing that a mother has to do is place their child in a daycare with strangers that they don't know. The average cost of daycare is $290 per week per child. That may not be a lot to some people, but it's an astronomical, crippling, paralyzing amount to a mother who is just getting on her feet at a lower paying job. So I'm here tonight asking and imploring for your support to help support the mothers, assist them with paying for daycare about a month's worth. We need about a month's worth of assistance because there is subsidized child care out there, but they have to have a job and provide 2 paychecks before they qualify for that subsidized daycare. So that is why I'm here tonight. Thank you so much for listening to me. And I'm Tamara Hall. I am located at St. Joe's, 320 South Blakely Street in Dunmore, Pennsylvania, and I am I'm here to help women in need. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tamara. Thank you for the important work that's being done at St. Joseph Center. So I'm just going to take a minute because Bella's been doing a great job keeping people on time. I think she's been stressing everybody out over there, but that's okay. You're doing your job. Great job, Bella. So I'm just going to take a minute to just, again, reiterate about how you can ask questions because we haven't had any questions come in yet. What we're going to be doing the questions all at the end. So if it's for a particular organization, you might want to just put the name in there. So for St. Joseph Center with the name. So again, you just use the camera on your phone to open up. You can hover it over the QR code and it will pop up and populate right on your phone. Or you can go into your web browser and put in slido.com right at the bottom with the ID. And once you're in there, I mean, if you've sent a text, you can put in a question because it's set up very similar to that. And somebody from our team, Brittany, right there, would be happy to help explain how that works. So if you can't get it working and you have a question, Amy can also help. She's in the back. So if you have questions, just ask her and she'll help, because we do want to make sure we're hearing your questions. So next up, we're being joined by Outreach Center for Community Resources, Lori Chafers. I always say it wrong. Chaffers, every time. I'm so sorry, Lori. Please forgive me. She is the executive director at Outreach, and then Liz Ratchford, who is the development director, although truthfully she has a much longer title that I couldn't fit in the space here. So she just said development director will work. So Liz and Lori, thank you so much.
Liz was not going to join me because she's an introvert, but then here she comes. So that's good job, Liz. Yay. I'm not normally nervous at these things, but I am exceptionally nervous tonight, and I think it's because my esteemed colleagues are in the room. And I just want to take a minute before I even talk about my program, which I know is going to kill my time, to say good luck to you all for voting, because there's not one of you that I don't think is deserving. And I couldn't do our job at Outreach without you who are in the room and my partners in the community. So I just wanted to say that. I'm Lori Chaffers. I am Lori Chaffers. I am the Executive Director at Outreach Center for Community Resources. We are celebrating our 35th year, and we began as the Women's Employment Program, which I think is important to say in a room full of women who are doing the good work of helping women move forward in today's world. I am going to do something that Liz wasn't sure was a good idea. I'm going to tell you a story about my mom. My mom is, I'm going to hold this. My mom was a single mom from the time I was 12 until now. She's still around. And I want to tell you about my mom because she, for Easter this year, bought my children a book about the Supreme Court and Albert Einstein and a tie-dye kit and a volcano-making chemistry kit. And then last Sunday came over and started making the volcano with my kiddos. Because my mom is a nurse, and my mom loves to paint. And so STEAM is kind of up my mom's alley. My mom also happens to believe that even though this week I've gotten home after 8:30 every night, that my kids really need to learn about these things at young ages because their brains are spongy little things, and if we can get them to be curious about the world around them at young ages, then we can have them ask good questions when they're in school, and they can figure out how to apply math and science to their everyday lives, and they can look at toothpicks and popsicle sticks after they get done eating them and figure out how to put them together, right, in their own homes and become very curious about STEAM. And so my mom makes it a point to give of her time and talent to come over and make sure not only my kids, but in the summer, my mom holds summer school at the Chapper's house for any neighborhood kid who will listen, right? And so she comes over and she says, come on, Sion, come on, Lily, let's come in, we're gonna do summer school. And she does math workbooks with them, and she does English and reading. It's ridiculous, and you would think they wouldn't come. They all come, right? They love it. And so the program I'm asking for funding for tonight is like my mom, right? We're the Skyview program. We go to Skyview once a week for a few hours, and we bring all these art supplies, and we bring all these science supplies, and we show up, and we have kids get really excited about learning using squirt guns to learn about gravity, right? Or learning how to build slime and the chemical reactions that take place like that, just like my mom shows up at my house every week. Except for these kids, they might not have a grandma who can show up, or maybe their grandma's in another country, or maybe their parents are working 2 jobs, or maybe they don't have a bus that goes all the way out to Skyview, and even if they did, it would probably take them an hour to get somewhere else in the city. And so we bring it right to them, and when we show up, I went a few times last year, when we show up, they like flock to the site, and we have to say, give us a few minutes to get ready, right? And sometimes they say things like, can you come back tomorrow? Right? When are you coming again? And do you have more food? Because we partner with the childhood, with CHOP, I'm going to butcher it right now, but with CHOP to provide food to them each week. And the kids will literally sit down when we leave and get a blanket. I watched them do this. I was appalled because this shouldn't happen in our city. They got a blanket to sit down and dump out their bags of food to figure out what they could eat that day, right? It's just shouldn't be happening in Scranton or in America at all. I'm almost done probably. So I will say, at the end of the program year last year, one of the kids said, "Can my dad come?" And the dad came and he did the whole activity with us. And he told us how much he loved our program because his kids looked forward to it every week, and so he wanted to come see what it was all about. And he loved it just as much as his kids loved it. And so I'm hopeful that he'll be able to join us this year as actually one of our volunteers. So that's why I told you about my mom, because sometimes outreach gets to be like my mom, and that's really cool. So did I miss anything? All right, got it.
Thank you so much, Lori and Liz, for joining us up on the stage. Next up, I would like to introduce two speakers from Penn State Scranton, and they're also being joined by Shelley Egan, who is the principal at the Old Forge School District, Melissa Labuda, who is the teacher's behavioral health training, who does that, and Christine Ostrowski, who is the director of development. They're going to be talking about their teachers' behavioral curriculum training that they provide for K through 12 teachers in northeastern Pennsylvania. So, thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Chris Ostrowski. I'm the Director of Development at Penn State Scranton. I'd like to thank everybody for having us here tonight, and I'd like to introduce Melissa Labuda and Shelley Egan, and they're going to tell you a little bit more about this very important program that we're requesting funding for. Thank you.
So, as you've kind of gathered, I'm Melissa Labuda, and that's Shelley Egan, because everybody knows everybody up here. Okay. Okay. So I'm here tonight to talk to you about the Teachers Behavioral Health Training, who we just completed our third year. And it is a partnership between the United Way, Penn State Scranton, Old Forge School District, Dunmore School District, and Valley View School District. And one of the reasons why is because 1 in 6 children between the ages of 3 and 17 is diagnosed with a mental health disorder. So what we do, and Shelley's going to talk a little bit more about how it all came about. I'm more the coordinator and making sure that everything happens the way it's supposed to, and I do some of the training as well. But the community agencies, and in particular my chancellor, Dr. Waffa, came to me and said, these are some things, the teachers are struggling in the schools with behaviors, and they need our help. Can you help? And of course, me being the former therapist that I am, said, sure. So that's kind of where I came in, and now Shelley's going to talk a little bit more.
So basically, I think everyone is aware that our schools are in crisis. Our teachers are struggling. They're becoming burnt out. They're leaving the profession. So 3 years ago when we started this, and this was pre-COVID, we wanted to find a way that we could help our teachers deal with the ever-increasing behaviors of the students that they were seeing in front of them in the classroom on a daily basis. And it was more than just typical behaviors that you would see in children just growing up. We had children struggling with common behavior, mental health issues such as ADHD, ODD. We had children struggling with trauma. They were coming into the classroom, I kind of describe it as carrying a suitcase of the trauma that they have incurred in just the few years that they have been alive on this earth, and coming in, whether it be with divorce, foster care, whether it be with homelessness, suicide ideation, which was ever increasing. And then on top of that, going into the years with COVID, it just exacerbated all of those behaviors. And teachers were seeing things that they had not seen in many years. So we needed to find a way, how can we help our teachers? Because our teacher preparation programs at the universities, while they're working hard, preparing their teachers, they just weren't exposed to what we were seeing on a daily basis, what I see in my school, what every school was seeing across America. So we needed to develop this program that would provide our teachers with proactive strategies that would help them build relationships with schools, with the students within their classrooms, because we needed to get to the heart before we could get to the head. So we needed to build that community, build those relationships. In addition, because we knew that they were going to have to deal with behaviors on a daily basis, deal with conflict among students, because that's not going to disappear, they needed to have those responsive strategies. So we built a program on how to help our teachers with proactive and responsive strategies. In addition, how we could help to reach out to engage our parents, because our parents are coming to us. I don't know what to do. I'm a single parent. My child has just been with me. They need help with the behaviors, and what are the resources that we could provide them with? So how do we engage the parents and build that community? And then finally, how do we build that resiliency in our educators to take on what they're facing on a daily basis within the classroom, and to devote some time to self-care? So what we did was we started small. And then we started small for a couple of reasons. We were piloting a program. We didn't know how teachers would respond to it. So we started with the 3 schools that were the founding, some of the founding members had connections to. So that was Old Forge, Dunmore, and Valley View. And we said, okay, we know that there's a subs shortage, so how are we going to fill the teachers coming to this training? So we started with just a small amount of teachers. So that's why you see that the numbers of teachers that participated were small. But we're trying to increase that, and with our last session, we had an increase in that. So the program modules, there are 4. They focused on mental health, signs and symptoms of common disorders, trauma-informed care, effective classroom management, proactive and responsive strategies, which includes training in restorative practices, which I am a trainer in restorative practices, so I do that part, and then building community and teacher self-care. And you can see among the module presenters, Dr. Labuda being one, Dr. Nathans, Jackie Most, Dr. Karen Rich from Marywood University, myself, and Kelly Langen, who's here tonight. We all take part in each of those modules based on the knowledge and the expertise that we have to share. And it has worked wonderfully. So I'm going to turn it over. Dr. Labuda will finish it up. I'm sorry, we're out of time.
We're out of time.
No, it's okay. You have a couple things.
Okay.
So the long and the short of it is we didn't know if this was actually going to be successful, and it actually is. We actually have some numbers, and I'm trying. Oh, I'm starting the numbers again. Okay, I've got to find my numbers very quickly. Okay, so 20-question pre-test and post-test covering all presentation topics. Overall average across all the modules was 86.83% for post-test, which means they were learning something in the sessions, and they were telling me after the sessions, thank you, we need more of these types of sessions. So this funding will help that. This funding will help create more opportunities for us to have more students, or I should say more teachers, and younger kiddos, because we know that pre-K is struggling with the same types of issues. So we want to broaden our base to pre-K, and it grew to high school this year out of just necessity. So that's what this would be. It would help us offer it more often and broaden the scope.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much to Penn State Scranton and Shelley as well for joining us today. Next up, we have Kelly Langen, who's Director for Children and Teens at the United Neighborhood Centers of Northeastern Pennsylvania. She's going to be talking about the Child Care Staff Incentives Program.
Thank you, everyone. I am really excited to be here, and as many of you have said, just honored to be around so many women I see doing really great work in the community. Seeing your faces live is nice, so thank you for having me today. Melissa, Shelley, you did a great job introducing what I'd like to talk about today, which is that our teachers are struggling, right? Our teachers are struggling in the classrooms, working with children who have lacked some academic engagement, who have lacked some social engagement over the last, I don't know how many years, 3 years, 4 years now. And what we would like to do is start an incentive program for our child care educators to further their education. So many of our child care educators have a high school degree. They may have some college, but many child care educators, the folks who are working with our youngest children in this community, are doing it fresh out of high school. And we know through studies and common sense that the better educated the teachers are in the classroom, the better outcomes for the students. Our teachers are burning out, our teachers are exhausted, and some of that is because they don't have the training and the skills to deal with these behaviors that they're seeing. So what we would like to do is start an incentive program for our teachers at United Neighborhood Centers in the early childhood education classrooms and our school-age classrooms as well, to incentivize them going back to school or going to school perhaps for the first time, to earn some college credits in early childhood education or a related field such as psychology, to give them the tools to better serve our students. And so with this program, if one of our teachers who maybe wasn't sure if they wanted to put in that time and energy because they're already tired, into going back to school, into enrolling in a college course, we might be able to incentivize that by giving them a bonus at the end of it. When they get that college credit, we'd be able to give them a bonus at the end of it with this program. And what I have seen is if I could get one of my teachers to take one college course, they take another one. They realize that what they learned in that online class probably, at a lot of my teachers right now are at Keystone College, and they're learning things in online classrooms, and then they bring them into the classrooms, and then they'll say to me, Kelly, my kids behave better because I did X, Y, and Z like we talked about in class last week. And the kids are getting more out of it too, because when we're not managing behaviors all the time, we're able to get to the education. We're able to get to that social interaction. And so what I'm asking for your consideration for tonight is to support the United Neighborhood Centers teachers at our child care centers. We are 4-star centers, which is the highest quality that a child care center can be in Pennsylvania, and we're really proud of that, and that does mean that many of our teachers are very qualified. But the teachers who need that extra support, we want to incentivize them to do that, and so we're asking for your support tonight. Thank you so much for your time.
Our team is passing out the ballots for everybody. We will still have time for questions, but if you want to start making some notes on the ballots, we'll be collecting those up after the questions. Our last presenter tonight, last but not least, is Aviana Corelli, who is the coordinator of Domestic and International Service Programs, and she's going to be talking about the Spark Summer Program.
Well, hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. As she just mentioned, my name is Aviana Corelli, and I am the coordinator for Domestic and International Service Programs at the University of Scranton within our Center for Service and Social Justice. So I'm here to talk to you all about the SPARK program, which is one of my favorite things to talk about, so you'll have to let me know when I'm totally out of time. But SPARK was created in 2013 as a collaborative program between the University of Scranton and Scranton Prep, our sister Jesuit high school. And so the director of our Center for Service and Social Justice is Pat Vaccaro, and her and Danny Marks, who is an alum of the university and a current math teacher over at Scranton Prep, they got together with some of our community agencies, right? And they said, what is the most underserved population here in the Scranton area, and what can we do to help? And so after polling all of the agencies that we work with on a regular basis, they decided that 12 to 16-year-olds is the most underserved population in our area, because these kids are too young to be working, but they're also too old for different summer camp programs. So therefore, we developed our SPARK program. And SPARK program is for kids ages 12 to 16, and and they're at-risk youth in the Scranton area. So we bus students every day for a week throughout the summer back and forth to our Chapman Lake Retreat Center. And throughout the week, we talk to them, as fun as I think it is, it's not like many other summer programs in that we're not just swimming in the lake and playing dodgeball and stuff like that, even though we do have a lot of fun. So we're talking about different themes that you could see listed on the handout that we provided, such as bullying and healthy relationships and role models, self-acceptance, self-worth, and a lot of things that these kids might just not have the people in their lives who are willing or able to teach them these type of things. So in regards to self-worth, we have them rip up a dollar bill and stomp on it and throw it in the lake, but they realize that even though it's crumbled and it's been hurt, it's still worth $1, right? And so when we talk about healthy and unhealthy relationships and we talk about role models, we have, the seaweed represents the unhealthy relationships in their life, and the lily pads represents the healthy, and other things represent the role models. And so it gives them a really great image of the lake that we're on for the week. And when talking about bullying, we do a step to the line activity. And so that really allows the other students that are there to see the obstacles that one another are facing and realize they're not going through any of that alone. And so the students, they are absolutely wonderful. And so every year, between 60 and 75% of our demographic is young women. And within the 10 years of us doing this program, this is the first time ever that our university team leaders are both women leaders. So that's really awesome. So we have kids who come at the age of 12, and they come every year until they're 16. And then even after they age out of the program at 16, they'll always come back and visit to make new friends and to see the people that are there after them. And so they're able to learn new things about themselves and about life, and they really just have a great time while doing it. So as I said, this is a collaborative program between the university and Scranton Prep. So we have Scranton Prep students who come in to lead our team. We have university students who are also team leaders for these kids. And then again, our 2 women team leaders for this year. So the single thing that we always try when we train our teams to tell them is to love these kids. And to love them more than they've ever loved anyone, and to give 100% of themselves to the kids these week because they see right through it. And these kids that go through this program will walk away not only knowing that they loved the program, but that the program truly loved them. And that's really all we try and give them for that week. So as wonderful as this program is, I have a deeply personal connection to this program. So as a student, my senior year at Scranton Prep, I was one of the Scranton Prep leaders for the program. And I just absolutely fell in love with it. And so I was 17 at the time, and the students in my group were 16. And so I was struggling with how am I going to be an effective leader to them as we're so similar in age. But it turns out that even though our physical ages were similar, our maturity levels were not. And so I was able to learn from this program, and if it wasn't for this program, I never would have gone to the university, because about a week being there, the first time I was ever there, I knew that my journey at Spark was not finished, and I had to do this for the next 4 years. And so I wouldn't have gone to the university without the program, and I wouldn't have my role there now without the program. So just to finish it up with a quick story of one of my favorite stories, one of our students, her name is Bianca, and so she came into the program when she was 12 years old, and she was very nervous, she was very shy, she was very timid, and she did not like speaking. She didn't like speaking in public, she didn't like speaking to other people, and so she would keep her head down and she would stutter, and she didn't want to talk to anyone ever, right? And so 4 years later, as Bianca turned 16, she aged out of the program, and so we allow our participants who age out to get up and say a couple words about Spark. And shocking enough to me, Bianca was the first person to stand up and speak. And she spoke with beauty and grace and maturity, and she spoke flawlessly and talked about how this program changed her life. It gave her self-worth and self-confidence, and it gave her her best friends. So thank you all so much for this opportunity and for your consideration. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much to you and also to all of our presenters tonight. I'm so thrilled to have all of you here. We're going to take 15 minutes for questions. I would ask that if you're a presenter tonight, if you want to join us back up on stage, this will help us to ensure that the answers are heard on the microphone. So I'll be asking the questions from up here, and we'll just ask you to come up to the mic to make sure not only that the room can hear you, but also the recording can hear you. In the meantime, please feel free, if you know what your answers are, to start filling out those ballots. As a quick explanation, as everyone joins us up here, you're going to add a dollar amount onto each organization. So if you do not want to, if you say zero funding, you could put zero if you don't feel like it's a project that we should be funding. But hopefully you feel that there's some amount that you would want to be funded, and you would enter that amount in there. I would ask that, if possible, to have that amount add up to 30. It's okay if you need to pull out your phone calculator, or if you're a little bit off. But that's what we're looking at, is basically having this money add up to around 30,000, which is what we have available this evening. So, our first question is to outreach. Who has funded in the past, if this program has been already ongoing, and how much does it cost each session?
We have received funding through our EITC, the tax credit, and through Sanofi. We have some EITC funding already this year, and Sanofi, I think we've received a smaller amount than we anticipated.
St. Joseph Center, how long do women typically stay in your programs with their infants?
I'm so happy you asked that. I meant to say that. So women can stay with us from 9 months to a year. It could be a year and a half. Every woman's needs are individually based, so it really depends on the woman and her circumstances itself. So 9 months to a year and a half.
Wonderful. Junior achievement, how do you carve out program just for girls? Is it an after-school program? And if so, how do you handle transportation issues?
So it's not an after-school program. The program will be delivered in the schools. We're going to bring volunteers from the community. I was talking to someone from a bank today. They're dying to get into these classrooms and teach the programs to these kids. So there's no busing issues. The programs are universal. We're just going to be programming for this particular grant, the 7th and 8th grade girls in the Scranton Intermediate High School. So, thank you.
To the Penn State program, how do you sustain the program, and also how will you adapt its preparation of teachers so that they aren't playing catch-up in mental health?
Okay. I am not an auditory person. So
That's okay. Oh, no, I'm sorry.
I'm not an auditory person. I'm a visual person. Okay, so P.S., how will you sustain this program? Me. I'm the one that kind of coordinates it.
I think they mean financially.
Oh, financially?
And you want to go right to the mic there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
We receive funding from the United Way at this point, and Penn State does some we support it in a way because we are the ones that do all the printing and all of the food and the swag and the everything else. So that's kind of how we support it. I know there was more questions.
There was one more. So how will PSU adapt its preparation of teachers so that the teachers aren't playing catch-up in mental health?
What we keep doing is each year we've done this, we change the program. We've had to adapt because we started this when before COVID, and then we had to finish it through Zoom. And then each year we kind of change it based on what the teachers tell me they need. So that's where we didn't start out doing self-care. But the first year we did it, I recognized that the teachers, I should say, needed self-care. So we added that component. Each year we kind of add things and change things based on what the teachers need.
But I think, too, what the question might be addressing teacher preparation programs through from the universities in preparing the teachers to go into the classroom, and we have had that discussion again as we continue to provide the program, we think of avenues that we need to increase and reach out to. And so we have talked about how can we reach out to the universities to get this as part of their training in going into the classroom. So we do have those discussions. We just haven't branched into that avenue yet.
And the administrators as well, so that they can be on board with it too.
Great, thank you.
I know there was also a question about the data that you have. Perhaps we can collect that from you afterwards to distribute, if that's okay. We'll chat, just so that everyone knows that question's going to be answered. So to the University of Scranton for the Spark program, how do you recruit students for the program, and are the classes co-ed? And then there was also a question about how will you plan to use some of the funding?
I am also glad this was asked because I ran out of time, so I didn't get to say. But so every year we take the 7th and 8th grade of the Nativity Miguel School of Scranton, which means the classes are co-ed, and then it's on a referral basis from some of the other area agencies that we're partnered with. In terms of how we would potentially use the grant, so this is the one single program in our office that does not have a specific funder or a specific donor. But it is also, I would say, one of our most costly programs. So we do bus the students back and forth from Scranton to Chapman Lake every day, which is about a half hour away. We provide 3 meals a day, and we also send them home with food every evening for siblings and family members. And then what the students love the most about the program is our Wednesday whitewater rafting trip. And so that gets very expensive very quickly. So those are just some of the things, not going along with different things we need to run the program on a day-to-day basis.
For Center for the Living City, are you renovating the houseboats that are already at Camp Archibald?
That's a great question.
And I have there's a couple others, but come on over. And the target age of the girls that you engage with, and also how do you engage with the students?
Okay. Yes, we are retrofitting 2 of the houseboats. One of them is beyond repair; it's sinking, and the other 2 we're saving the pontoons, and then we're building the sustainable houses on top of those. The division that we're competing with the United States Department of Energy is the retrofit housing division. So we are using parts and pieces of the old buildings. That was the first one, and what was the second one? How do we engage with our...
The target age, I think?
Target age is middle school girls, ages, 10 through 14 is the range of the girls that we would invite to our campus, both through the Girl Scouts and just from area girls in northeastern Pennsylvania. They don't have to do the patch programs. They could come onto our campus and participate in programming that hopefully this funding supports. And how do we engage with those girls?
How do you recruit, I would think is the...
How do we recruit? It's our own upper-level women in architecture students are our best advocates. Those girls want to engage with younger girls. So we have architecture in schools programs that we participate in. We also work with the Nativity Miguel, who's on our campus. So we do a lot of cross-disciplinary with elementary and middle school girls, and our own students. The women love to mentor. Our graduating architecture girls love to mentor the younger women in our community. Yeah.
United Neighborhood Centers, will you be bringing in, or can you bring in reps from higher education to introduce your teachers to what's available, and what other methods do you use to help create interest?
Great questions. So the state actually has a program that helps to fund the educational programming, and we do have them interact with our teachers on a semi-regular basis. That's called the PDO, literally the Professional Development Organization. And so those folks really are marketing kind of what the benefits are for teachers, and this would just be an added bonus that we're able to offer to our teachers if they're not sure they want to spend that time. And what was the second question, or the second part of the question?
What methods do you use to help create interest?
Oh, methods we use to help create interest. I mean, the first thing I did, if I'm being honest, was I started to take some classes myself. And so I started to take classes myself, and I brought along some of the teachers with me, some teachers who had never been in a college course, who were maybe a little nervous to try it on their own. So they tried it right next to me. And Out of the 3 teachers who started in that credentialing program with me, 2 of them now have their full credential. So we lead by example, and we show them the benefits of the behavior modifications that can happen as long as our teaching skills are up to date. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The next question is for Catherine McCauley Center. Have you noticed that there's an increased need for these life-changing housing and case management services?
Yes, to put some numbers behind it, for our family support program, the calls that we get alone, typically we see about 500 a year. From July to December of last year, we've seen 500 alone. So 40% of them we're able to mitigate, but that leaves 60% of those calls without a resource.
Thank you, Krista. Junior achievement again. Sorry, I think I missed this question the first time around. You mentioned that there's 2,000 students from 16 districts. That seems like a really large group. So how do you do that? How do you break those sessions up and tackle such a large impact?
So I apologize if I confused everyone. That's a ton of kids. We did that on Tuesday. We staggered them, so there could only be 1,000 students there at any time, or we were way over fire code. So, but what we're going to, I was explaining that to my staff. That was an event that let people understand what junior achievement can do. We saw what it can do for the kids, but the real work starts right now. That was 2 days ago. I don't have a voice. I'm exhausted. And they were like, well, you can rest now. I'm like, no, this is now everybody wants this stuff because they understand the impact it can have. So what we want to do, and like I said before, is bring the programs to the schools and partner the Geising or all of our corporate partners with these students in the schools. Angela Keating, I was supposed to say, she's the principal of the West Grandin Intermediate School, wanted to be here tonight, but she couldn't. But we're already in talks with her. The need is terrific for these kids, and the impact. Real quick, York Junior Achievement is 5th in the country. There's 100 junior achievements in the country. I know from my work at the Institute that York is one of 4 sister cities to our county. It's very similar demographic. They program 40% of their students with junior achievement K through 12 programs. We are not even close, not even in the ballpark, and we can be. So I think I'm supposed to stop. Sorry. So anyway, I don't want to keep going, but yes. So that was an event. We really want to move in the right direction and impact these kids' lives. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. This question is back to outreach. Approximately how many children are impacted by your wonderful program?
Last summer, we served 37 unduplicated students, and that's just the total number, and they can repeat each week. And so it really depends on who is kind of present in that area. So we'll start recruitment in May, we'll start recruitment for our summer programs. Yep.
St. Joseph Center, how has your child care funding been funded for working moms in the past, and how do you support moms that are working evenings and weekend hours?
So we have not funded for child care services. So if a woman is not working, she can participate in the EARN program, which will connect her with the ELRC program, which is the subsidized child care. We do not financially pay for daycare, so it's really been up to the mothers to fund their daycare. And what was the second question?
Yeah, sorry. How do you support the moms that are working evenings and weekend hours?
So the mothers in our program do not work weekends. Primarily, it's Monday through Friday, but we have to think outside of the box for childcare. So our staff assists with childcare as needed. So we have assisted with childcare when women begin a position and there is no childcare established yet. We also have, they have family members that, if they're safe and they're appropriate, family members of the mothers can assist with childcare.
Wonderful. So that is all the questions that we have received. Thank you all for participating with our technology. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but I do appreciate all of you for your willingness to participate that way. Again, help us kind of streamline the process, and we're right on time. So, woo! I want to give a really big round of applause to the amazing women behind me for all the work that they do in our community. So now I'm going to ask the presenters to hang on one second because we're going to get a photo while we're all up here. But to those of you in the audience, if you want to start filling out your ballot, and then you can turn them into Amy in the back. She's the one waving. Amy will take the ballots for you. And then we're going to get started on counting, and then we're going to be making an announcement tonight about how we're going to be doing our grant funding. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Maggie, and a huge thank you to all of our organizational presenters. I think the results speak to the fact that everyone really does remarkable work. But I have something very exciting to announce. We started the evening with $30,000 in grants. We end the evening with $35,000 in grants available. So that speaks to the quality of what we do and what the organizations that we're so blessed to have in northeastern Pennsylvania do. So with that, I'm just going to run down the list of organizations and the amount that through this democratic process each organization was awarded. And like Maggie said, each organization that has been selected for a grant, please stay for photography, and please, Women in Philanthropy supporters, please stay to join the photos. It's very important that we reflect the generosity of so many of our generous supporters in these photographs, because that's really how these resources come to fruition. So, without further ado, the first organization, the Catherine McCauley Center, receives a grant award of $6,000. Congratulations. The Center for the Living City, a grant award of $4,500. Congratulations. Junior Achievement of Northeastern Pennsylvania, a grant award of $3,000. Congratulations. Outreach receives a grant award of $5,500. Congratulations. Penn State Scranton, a grant award of $4,500. Congratulations. St. Joseph Center, a grant award of $3,000. Congratulations. United Neighborhood Centers, a grant award of $5,000. And the University of Scranton, a grant award of $3,500, totaling $35,000 in grants from Women in Philanthropy. Everyone received a grant tonight. Congratulations, everyone. We look forward to hearing the results of your incredible work. Thank you.